Good evening, dear friend. Tonight, let us travel back to a quiet American city in the late 1940s. The Second World War had ended, but for many ordinary families, life was still far from easy. Factories were changing, fathers were searching for steady work again, and many mothers stretched every loaf of bread just a little farther to feed their children. Our story begins inside an old government building built from pale grey stone. Every morning before sunrise, while the city still slept beneath a blanket of morning fog, one man quietly unlocked its heavy wooden doors. His name was Samuel Carter. Most people simply called him the Janitor. He carried an old metal bucket in one hand and a worn wooden mop in the other. Every hallway echoed softly beneath his careful footsteps. The marble floors reflected the first light of dawn as he polished them until they shone. Few people noticed him. Government officials hurried past with stacks of papers tucked beneath their arms. Secretaries smiled politely, but rarely stopped to speak. Visitors often walked by without ever learning his name. Samuel never seemed to mind. He greeted everyone with the same gentle smile. He believed that every honest job deserved dignity. After all, someone had to keep the building clean before important work could begin. But every afternoon, after his shift had ended, Samuel followed a different routine. Instead of walking straight home, he visited the city's old public bakery. The owner always saved bread that could no longer be sold the next morning. Samuel bought every loaf he could afford. Sometimes there were day-old rolls, sometimes slightly cracked pies, sometimes simple biscuits. Nothing was wasted. Next, he visited the neighborhood market. Whatever vegetables remained unsold, carrots, potatoes, onions, a handful of apples, anything his small paycheck could still buy. Back inside his tiny apartment, he prepared large pots of warm vegetable soup. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just honest food, enough to quiet an empty stomach. As the evening sun disappeared behind the rooftops, Samuel packed the soup into metal containers. The bread filled 2 old canvas bags. Then he quietly walked toward the city's oldest railway bridge. Not because he liked the bridge, but because children gathered there every night. Some had lost parents during difficult years. Others belonged to families who simply had too little. They waited without asking. Samuel never made speeches. He never asked questions. He simply smiled and handed each child a bowl of soup. "Careful," he would whisper. "It's still warm." The children called him Mr. Sam. No one knew where he lived. No one knew where the food came from. To them, he simply appeared each evening, like clockwork. One rainy autumn night, a little girl tried to hand him 2 small coins. "They're all I have," she said. Samuel gently closed her hand. "No," he smiled. "One day, when you're grown, help someone else." She never forgot those words. Winter arrived. Snow covered the sidewalks. The wind blew sharply through the narrow streets. Still, Mr. Sam every evening, sometimes wearing 2 old coats, sometimes with frozen hands, but always carrying warm soup, always carrying bread. Years quietly passed. Many of those hungry children grew older. Some found work. Some entered school. Some joined the military. Some became teachers. Others opened small businesses. Life slowly moved forward. Yet, every evening, Samuel kept walking beneath the old railway bridge, never asking for thanks, never accepting praise, never allowing anyone to take his photograph. To the city, he remained only the quiet janitor who polished marble floors. Nothing more. One cold December morning, Samuel did not arrive at work. His cleaning bucket remained untouched. His mop leaned silently against the wall. Concerned co-workers visited his apartment. They found him peacefully resting in his chair. An old book lay open beside him. A kettle still sat quietly on the stove. He had passed away during the night. He was 72 years old. As city workers carefully sorted through his modest belongings, they expected to find savings. Instead, they found receipts. Hundreds of tiny receipts. Bread, soup vegetables, milk, blankets, shoes for children, medicine purchased for struggling families. Every receipt stretched back nearly 20 years. His bank account held almost nothing, because nearly everything he earned had quietly become someone else's dinner. News spread across the city. The newspapers printed a simple headline: "The janitor no one truly knew." People were stunned. Government officials remembered the quiet man who always greeted them kindly. Shop owners remembered the customer who never bargained. The bakery owner quietly admitted he never missed a single week. Then something extraordinary happened. Adults from every corner of the city began arriving at the funeral. A respected doctor, a firefighter, a school principal, a judge, a bookstore owner, a police captain. One after another, they shared the same story. When I was a hungry child, Mr. Sam fed me. Many wept. Some brought old photographs. Others carried pieces of bread to place beside his flowers. The little girl who once offered him 2 coins had become a teacher. Standing before the crowd, she quietly repeated the words Samuel had spoken decades earlier. When you're grown, help someone else. The church fell silent. Those simple words travelled from one heart to another. Weeks later, the city council gathered inside the very government building. The building Samuel had cleaned for so many years. They voted unanimously. The building's public courtyard would receive a new name: Samuel Carter Memorial Garden. At its centre stood a simple bronze bench. No grand statue, no elaborate monument. Only a small bronze plaque. It read, "In memory of Samuel Carter. He believed no child should sleep hungry. His kindness asked for no applause. His legacy lives in every act of quiet compassion. Years became decades. Children played in the garden. Flowers bloomed each spring. The old building continued its quiet history. In the houses across the street, children slept through stormy nights without dread of empty stomachs.
Many people paused to read the plaque. Some had never heard Samuel's story before. Yet almost every visitor left thinking the same thought. The greatest heroes are not always the loudest. Sometimes they carry a mop instead of a medal. Sometimes they wear worn-out shoes instead of polished boots. Sometimes history remembers them only after they are gone. But kindness, true kindness, never disappears. It continues quietly from one heart to another.
Perhaps someone who once received a bowl of soup later fed another hungry child. Perhaps one gentle act became hundreds. Perhaps that was always Samuel's greatest hope. As evening settles over the old city once more, the government building grows quiet again. The marble floors still shine beneath the soft lights. Outside, children laugh in the little memorial garden. The wind gently moves through the trees. And somewhere, beyond memory and time, one quiet janitor's kindness continues to echo, not through speeches or statues, but through ordinary people choosing compassion, one small act at a time. Thank you for joining this journey through sleep history. Close your eyes, rest peacefully, and remember, the brightest legacy is often the one that asks for nothing in return. Good night.
Good evening, my friend. Tonight, there is nowhere you need to be. Nothing to finish, nothing to solve. For the next little while, the busy world can quietly continue without you. Allow your breathing to become slow and comfortable. Feel your shoulders gently relax. Let the sounds of the day slowly fade away as we travel together, not across great distances, but back through time. Back to America, almost 80 years ago. The Second World War had finally come to an end. Cities were rebuilding, families were beginning again. Factories echoed with the sounds of honest work. Steam locomotives still ruled the railways. Letters arrived by train. Milk was delivered before sunrise. Children played beneath towering elm trees until the streetlights flickered on. Life moved much more slowly than it does today. There were no glowing phone screens, no hurried notifications, no endless stream of headlines demanding attention. Instead, mornings began with church bells, the whistle of distant trains, the smell of fresh bread drifting from neighborhood bakeries, and quiet greetings exchanged between neighbors who knew one another by name. Our story begins in one such city. It was not a famous city. You won't find monuments celebrating it. Few history books speak of its ordinary streets. Yet hidden among those quiet avenues lived a man whose kindness would outlive every building around him. His name was Samuel Carter. Most people barely noticed him. Every weekday morning, before the first government officials unlocked their offices, before judges arrived carrying heavy leather briefcases, before secretaries rolled fresh sheets of paper into their typewriters, before the first visitors climbed the marble staircase, Samuel was already there, long before sunrise.